So, good afternoon, students. Today we are going to discuss about the coenzymes. 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 Actually, these coenzymes are the part of the enzyme. We can call it as enzyme consists of the protein part and non-protein part. The protein part is called apoenzyme, and the non-protein part is called coenzyme. Usually, this protein part and non-protein part. This is non-protein part. This non-protein part is usually derived from the organic nature. That's why we can call it as coenzyme. If this non-protein part is derived from the metals, then we can call it as metallic enzymes or cofactors. Usually we can call it as cofactor in that case. But if it is organic in nature, then we can call it as coenzyme. So for every enzyme, protein part is there and non-protein part is there. Here in this class we are going to discuss about the non-protein part, that is coenzyme part. These coenzymes, that means in order to function in a particular enzyme, there must be a protein part and non-protein part. This non-protein part usually it will occupies the catalytic site. So it is very crucial and is very essential in order to function as an enzyme. So this part of the coenzyme are almost all they are derived from the vitamins, especially the B complex vitamins. You know that vitamins are classified into, based upon the solubility, vitamins are classified into water soluble vitamins and the lipid soluble vitamins. So water soluble vitamins, again they are further classified into, you know that vitamins means they are essential amines. Vitamins are classified into two types based upon the solubility. So what is the one class is the fat soluble vitamins, another one is water soluble vitamins. Water soluble vitamins. Under this water soluble vitamins, they are further subdivided into two groups: B complex vitamins and vitamin C. B complex and vitamin C. So this is B complex and non-B complex vitamins. Under non-B complex vitamins, we can call it as we can have vitamin C or ascorbic acid. Now these particular B complex vitamins are all B complex vitamins. Okay, of course they will act as the coenzymes. That means as it is, they may not be act as a coenzymes. They are further modified into a coenzyme form, and they are acts as a part of the. That means they are combining the part of the protein part, and finally we will get the full-fledged enzyme. So ultimately these B complex vitamins are the precursors for the coenzymes. Now these coenzymes, of course these coenzymes which are derived from the B complex vitamins, some are involved in the metabolic activity. That means the enzymes that are involved in the metabolic functions, that means energy producing functions, in that cases they may act as a coenzymes, and some coenzymes they may act as a hemopoietic factors. That means they can able to responsible for the formation of blood and your genetic material also. So that's why this B complex ultimately they will act as a coenzymes in various metabolic functions as well as blood forming agents. Now our interest is what are the coenzymes that are there, and these coenzymes how they are. That means usually these coenzymes, the B complex vitamins are water soluble vitamins. They are most of the cases they are obtained from the plant sources and animal sources only. But the thing is, they are, though they are very essential, but they need very minute quantities. So that's why the all vitamins means essential amines. They are amines. Vitamin that means essential amines. Ultimately, how they are essential? They are converted into cofactors. That means in order to functioning the biochemical reactions, so we need the enzymes. The enzymes are part of the enzyme is the coenzyme. Now let us examine what are the various B complex vitamins, they will act as a coenzymes. Now we know very well about the vitamin B complex vitamins. Right from the vitamin B1, this is called thiamine hydrochloride. This is thiamine hydrochloride, thiamine, thiamine hydrochloride. So thiamine hydrochloride one, then vitamin B2, riboflavin, then vitamin, okay, B3, usually we cannot pronounce it B3, but it is called as niacin, then biotin, then of course biotin, then pantothenic acid, and the pyridoxine, vitamin B6 is also called as pyridoxine. Then your folic acid, this is and finally cyanocobalamin. This is also called as B12. Friends, these are all derived from the vitamins. And you just remember one important point here. Some of the non-vitamins are also acts as a coenzymes. That you just remember. But most of the coenzymes are derived from the B complex vitamins. Now vitamin B1. This is thiamine hydrochloride. And what is its coenzyme form? I told you earlier, these are all the precursors. Precursors means the starting materials for the formation of the active form of your vitamins. That is thiamine hydrochloride coenzyme form, usually we can call it as TPP, thiamine pyrophosphate, and riboflavin is, its coenzyme forms are F-fermin flavin mononucleotide and FAD. See, flavin mononucleotide and flavin adenine nucleotide. Then niacin, again two coenzyme forms are there, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide and NADP, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. Then biotin, as it is, it may be used. Biotin, it is always combined with the enzyme. So biotin enzyme complex will act as a, okay, usually involved in that form, biotin plus enzyme. Then you cannot confuse here, this is enzyme, not enzyme, it is protein, biotin plus protein, and this complex we can call it as biotin enzyme complex. Then pantothenic acid coenzyme form is coenzyme A, usually you can call it as COASH, this is called coenzyme A. Then pyridoxine, of course pyridoxine is three forms maybe acts as a coenzyme, that means three different forms are there, but in that the active form is pyridoxal phosphate, the aldehyde form. So what are the three forms? Pyridoxal, alcohol form, and pyridoxamine. So these are the three forms that are, okay, acts as a coenzymes in this case, but the most active form is the aldehyde form, pyridoxal phosphate. Then the folic acid, the active form is, of course, the tetrahydrofolate THF. Of course this THF is also modified into methylene THF, tetrahydrofolate. Then cyanocobalamin, most active form is methylcobalamin. Of course other forms are also available, but I am emphasizing here, I am explaining here only one particular form which you can easily remember it. Then these are all basically the organic molecule, but here one important point is, they are not simplest organic structures. For example, in the case of B6, in the case of niacin, they are simple organic structures. So we can easily interpret the structures and we can easily remember the structure. But in the case of cyanocobalamin, it is a complex structure. It is very difficult to write and remember this kind of structure. That's why students, you don't bother about the structures of this particular coenzymes. If at all possible, you can use to learn very simple structures, and of course it is very essential to learn the structures like folic acid. Being a medical student, this folic acid structures you can come across so many times. That's why it's better to learn the folic acid structure. But anyway, here being a biochemistry, we are much interested about the biochemical role of this particular coenzymes. That's all. So biochemical role in the sense where these coenzymes are involved, which type of biochemical reactions are going to be happen in the presence of this particular coenzymes. That is our main intention. And the next intention is what is it is recommended dietary elements. That means what is the minimum essential quantity that is helpful to maintain our body functions. Another thing is if at all they are going to be deficient, then ultimately what will happens? That means what kind of disorders we can able to get if this particular vitamin is going to be deficient. That is our interest. Let us examine the first one is thiamine hydrochloride. See, the thiamine hydrochloride, first one is what is its biochemical role? Biochemical role. See, the thiamine hydrochloride, the coenzyme form is thiamine pyrophosphate. This biochemical role is they are mainly facilitating the reactions of oxidative decarboxylation. Oxidative decarboxylation. That means the substrate should be oxidized at the same time it can able to lose its carboxylic acid group. That kind of reaction they are going to be facilitated. Of course, in some other reactions, trans-ketolase reactions are also going to be facilitated this particular coenzyme, but in order to remember simply this particular oxidative decarboxylation enzyme. Now here, this kind of reaction this is going to be facilitated. So, simple example I would like to tell you here. Your pyruvate. Pyruvate is converted into acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA in the end of the glycolysis, your pyruvate is converted into acetyl-CoA by means of pyruvate dehydrogenase complex enzyme system, in which one of the cofactor is thiamine pyrophosphate. Then ultimately, what is the structure of pyruvate? CH3C double bond O COO. This is the COOS. This is pyruvate is converted into acetyl-CoA. CH3C double bond O and SCOA. Actually, the enzyme that is required here is pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. That is, it is a complex enzyme system. It is not having only PPP. It is also requires some other enzymes also. That's why we can call it as coenzymes, a complex enzyme system. But it is clearly tells us that what will happen here, the decarboxylation, this group is going to be lost. Okay. So this oxidative decarboxylation type of enzyme reactions are going to be facilitated. This one. And what is its structure? Thiamine hydrochloride structure. Thiamine hydrochloride structure is, it consists of the pyridine nucleus and methylene bridge, and later on the thiazole moiety. It is going to be like this. This is the structure. Of course, this is the structure. Now CH2OH, then this is CH3, and here this is NH2. Right. Now this hydrogen is the active hydrogen which is going to be present. This is the active site in fact. This particular vitamin B1 and thiamine pyrophosphate. That means two phosphoric acid moieties are going to be attached to this place. That's why this is the full-fledged form of the coenzyme, that is thiamine pyrophosphate. And this thiamine pyrophosphate will combine with the protein part, so that we will get the, just now I was described, that is the oxidative decarboxylase, that is our pyruvate decarboxylase enzyme, like that. Now this kind of reaction, this kind of coenzymes are involved various oxidative decarboxylation reactions, that you just remember. And this vitamin B1 is abundantly present in the rice polishings. and it is very crucial enzyme. If it is going to be deficient, that may leads to the beriberi. Beriberi. Vitamin B1 deficiency leads to the beriberi. Of course, total grains contains this particular vitamin in abundant quantities. That you just remember. That means if somebody is going to be deficient, that means he may not be taking the raw rice as it is. If he is taking refined rice, ultimately this vitamin is going to be lost. And if you are washing rice repeatedly before cooking also, this vitamin is going to be lost because it's high water solubility. And this enzyme deficiency leads to the beriberi, and ultimately beriberi that may lead to the cardiac complications and neurological disorders. Okay, because it's having the role of the energy production, and at the same time it is also involved in the transmission of nerve impulse also. That's why ultimately the affected organ system is the cardiac system as well as neurological system. And one more disease is there, Wernicke's Korsakoff disease, something is there, and the persons who are continuously taking the alcohol, chronic alcoholism, that may leads to the malabsorption of this particular vitamin. That means though we are supplying the plenty of the thiamine hydrochloride, because of they are taking alcohol continuously, the GI tract is going to be lost the absorption site. That means the absorption where, that means it is supposed to be absorbed at a particular site in your GI tract. That particular site is going to be destroyed because of continuous intake of alcohol. So that's why that persons who can able to get the Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome. And these two are the disorders. And what is daily normal daily recommended allowance? It is all vitamins usually we can require very small quantities, and here it is required just 1 to 1.5 grams per day. 1 to 1.5 mg, not grams per day. It's just 1 to 1.5 grams. Usually most of the vitamins except the cyanocobalamin are required in milligram quantities only, but cyanocobalamin is very low quantity we require exactly. That is microgram level, it is enough in the case of cyanocobalamin. So this is about the vitamin B1. Then what is next vitamin? That is vitamin B2, that is riboflavin. So the riboflavin is vitamin B2, riboflavin, because flavin is, this is abundantly present in the milk. No doubt, it is abundantly present in the milk. That means if the person is regularly consuming the milk, the person will never get the deficiency of this particular vitamin. What are the coenzyme forms? This is FMN. So full form of FMN is flavin mononucleotide and flavin adenine dinucleotide. Actually, I told you earlier, see, some vitamin coenzyme structures are not complicated, some are complicated. There is no need to learn the structures of these coenzymes, but here also the FMN, I would like to give one small, that means this structure: flavin adenine dinucleotide, flavin mononucleotide. So the basic nucleus is this one here. This is flavin mononucleotide, means here phosphoric acid group is there. Flavin mononucleotide. If flavin adenine dinucleotide means here one more phosphoric acid group is there, which is going to be attached to the rest of the sugar moiety and adenine like this, and here nitrogen, this is the adenine moiety. Sorry. So this is the flavin adenine dinucleotide. Of course, here this particular cofactor is actively involved in the oxidation reduction reactions. Oxidation reduction, that means either it can accept the hydrogen or either it can able to donate the hydrogen. So wherever the hydrogen transfer reactions are there, oxidation reduction reactions, this will act as a coenzyme. The best example is if you are observing the electron transport chain system. So this FMN will act as a coenzyme. And in your Krebs cycle also, your FAD will act as a coenzyme. So wherever the oxidation reduction reactions are there, oxidation reduction reactions are there. So ultimately what will happen? The hydrogen is going to be transferred from one substrate to the product, like that. So one hydrogen, wherever the hydrogen transfer reactions are there, this will act as a coenzyme. Now this is the simplest structure, and the main abundant source is, that means the main richest source of this riboflavin is the milk. And another thing is this particular vitamin deficiency leads to, of course, very minor complications, not life-threatening complications, but the caliosis is one, caliosis, then glossitis, and the angular stomatitis, See, that means occasionally we can able to find out the tongue will be converted into somewhat different color, magenta red color. The noru pusindi, we can call it as in Telugu. And sometimes you can able to observe the fishes in the corners of the mouth. So that is also due to the deficiency of the riboflavin. And this enzyme, that is this particular vitamin that is required daily is 1.5 mg. That's all. 1.5 mg. Now this is about the riboflavin. Riboflavin, once again I am telling, it is vitamin B2. The coenzyme forms are FMN and FAD. Of course, these are the oxidized forms. And what is its corresponding reduced form? FMNH2 and FADH2. So this is the oxidized form, this is the reduced form. Now once it is going to be reduced, it is converted into this form, or once it is going to be, that means when it is going to be oxidized, this is converted into this form, and if it is going to be reduced, this is going to be converted to this form. So this is about the riboflavin. Now the next enzyme is, coenzyme is vitamin B3, or we can call it as niacin. So niacin is its niacin deficiency leads to very popular one is the coenzyme form is NAD and NADP. Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate and nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. These two enzyme forms. Of course, niacin, the amide form is going to be very active. So niacinamide we can call it as, this is niacinamide, right? So this is nicotinamide and niacinamide. Niacinamide is also called as niacin, and this deficiency leads to the pellagra. And if the person is regularly taking the tryptophan amino acid, then automatically the deficiency of this particular vitamin is going to be not at all takes place, because tryptophan is also one of the amino acid, you know very well about it. This amino acid is ultimately converted in your body into the niacin. That's why either if you are taking the niacin as it is in this particular deficiency, or you can able to take enough quantities of niacin. And what is RDA, recommended dietary elements, is the 1 mg of niacin or 60 mg of tryptophan. That means either you can able to supply 1 mg of niacin as it is, or 60 mg of tryptophan. Now see, this pellagra seems to be most dangerous situation. In fact, it is popularly having the symptoms of 3 Ds, if you are not supposed to be treated, and it will follows fourth D also. So what is 3 Ds? See, diarrhea, dermatitis, dementia, and finally leads to the death. Diarrhea is related to the gastrointestinal problem, GI problems. Dermatitis related to the skin, and dementia related to the central nervous system. That means your GI tract is going to be affected, your skin is going to be affected, and your central nervous system is going to be affected. If at all you are not supposed to be treated, and it may lead to the fourth D, that is death. So the coenzyme form is NAD and NADPH, and you know very well about what is the role of this NAD and NH in majority of the oxidation reduction reactions. This will act as a coenzyme. You know very well about it, and this is a crucial in the electron transport system also. So many reactions are needed this cofactor, but ultimately what will happen, it is also involved in the transfer of hydrogen, one hydrogen transfer reaction. That means it is involved in the oxidoreductase enzyme systems. Wherever the oxidation reduction reactions are there, this will act as a coenzyme. So this is about the niacin. What is the full form of what is the coenzyme forms of niacin? Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide and nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. Of course, these two are also again the oxidized forms, and its corresponding reduced forms is NADH plus H plus and NADPH plus H plus. So these two are reduced form, these two are oxidized forms, and so many biochemical reactions are there which are going to be catalyzed. A simple example I would like to tell you: the pyruvate is under anaerobic conditions, it is converted into lactate. So in the presence of lactate dehydrogenase enzyme, now here what will happen, the factor that is required is NADH, H plus is converted into NAD plus. If you are observing the structure of pyruvate, CH3 C double bond O COO is converted into CH3 CHOH and COO minus. So what will happen, ultimately C double bond O is converted into CHOH group. So ultimately the hydrogens that are there in the NADH and H plus is going to be donated to this pyruvate, and it is converted into NAD plus, and after accepting this hydrogens it is converted into lactate. So this is the simplest and best example. In fact, so many reactions are there in which this NAD plus and NADP will act as a coenzymes. Now the other one is the biotin. See, biotin is this is structurally a very simple compound. That biotin is mainly responsible for the transfer of CO2 group. See here, it is wise to discuss the biotin role in terms of the example, so that you can able to understand where it. In the case of gluconeogenesis, that means formation of glucose other than non-carbohydrate source. Now in the glucose, in this case, what will happen? Your pyruvate is converted into straight away the oxaloacetate. In fact, this is one of the crucial step in the gluconeogenesis. Pyruvate is converted into oxaloacetate, and for this what it is needed is carbon dioxide, and the coenzyme that is required is pyruvate carboxylase. And here the biotin is essential. What will happen? Your biotin can able to bind the protein, so that biotin enzyme complex will be formed. The ultimate biotin enzyme. See, that means your biotin plus protein. What we should get is biotin protein complex. This biotin protein complex will capture carbon dioxide, and so that we will have the biotin, protein and CO2 group that is going to be associated with the biotin, and this entire can able to transfer this carboxylic group to the substrate. to the substrate. That means this enzyme complex is finally donated to this pyruvate and ultimately it is converted into oxaloacetate. So let us examine what will happen here. What is the structure of pyruvate CH3? C double bond O, COO minus. Now it is converted into CH2, C double bond O, COO minus, and here in this terminus we have C double bond O, O minus. So this group is going to be transferred. So that's why the name of this enzyme is called pyruvate carboxylase. Biotin is mainly responsible for the transfer of CO2 group from the substrate to the product. Then this biotin is very rarely deficient. That means the persons usually can never get deficient this particular vitamin unless the person is taking regularly the raw eggs. Because raw eggs containing one important factor, that particular factor can able to form a complex with this particular biotin vitamin, so that this biotin absorption into the systemic circulation is going to be obstructed. That means though biotin is there in your diet, if you are taking the biotin containing diet along with the raw eggs, then what will happen? These raw eggs can able to form a complex with the biotin and ultimately it will form the non-absorbable complex. In that particular cases only you can able to get the deficiency of this particular vitamin. So this particular coenzyme.